Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Star Wars for 100 Days, the ultimate fan countdown leading up to the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens. We are only 3 days away from the release of the 7th chapter in the greatest sci-fi saga of all time. The time has finally come for me to review the original Star Wars trilogy, and like most things, it's best to start at the beginning. So join me as I review Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Set 19 years after the fall of the Republic and the destruction of the Jedi, the Galactic Empire holds a tight grip on the galaxy, which prompts the beginning of a galaxy-wide civil war. The oppressive Empire has created a massive moon-sized weapon known as the Death Star. This weapon of epic proportions has the ability to destroy a planet with one single blast. The only thing standing in the Empire's way is Princess Leia and the Rebel Alliance, who had just got finished stealing the plans for the Death Star. Before the plans can be taken back by the Empire, she stows them away in a space pod, which contains 2 robotic droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO. They then crash land on the desert planet of Tatooine. The droids are saved by young farmer Luke Skywalker, our main hero of the film. After nearly losing the droids to some Tusken Raiders, he encounters Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who just happened to be comrades with Luke's biological father, who he has never even seen. Shortly thereafter, the Empire arrives on Tatooine looking for the 2 droids in the Death Star plans and find Luke's aunt and uncle, who they kill. Luke, knowing that he has nowhere else to go, decides to join Obi-Wan, begin his Jedi training, and help the Rebel Alliance top the evil Empire. Along the way, they meet new comrades, like the smuggler Han Solo and his Wookiee friend Chewbacca. The unlikely team make their way to the Empire's Death Star, where they save Princess Leia and begin one final assault on the dreaded Death Star. The characters of Star Wars are timeless, despite the fact that they appear in a futuristic sci-fi setting. Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, is the young hero of the film, who has dreams of seeing the galaxy and leaving his home planet. Basically, he is the prototypical hero. Luke Skywalker is the perfect example of a hero beginning his journey. In many respects, he's very similar to Frodo from Lord of the Rings, or even Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi is played by Alec Guinness, and he is the classic wise master and mentor to Luke, teaching him how to use the Force. Princess Leia, played by Carrie Fisher, is not your typical princess. She's very strong, incredibly outspoken, and isn't even afraid to take out a few stormtroopers. Even after her home planet is destroyed by the Death Star, she stays strong and acts as an emotional pillar for Luke, who's just getting over the death of Obi-Wan aboard the Death Star. And of course, we cannot forget Han Solo. Played by Harrison Ford, he's basically your typical smuggler at first, just looking to make some quick cash and pay off his debts. He comes across as a grizzled cowboy in an old Western flick, which is exactly why he is not afraid to shoot first. By the end of the film, he is bonded with his new friends and comrades and ends up being instrumental in the destruction of the Death Star. Joining Han Solo is the ever-lovable Chewbacca, a Wookiee. Basically, he's a giant man-dog who hangs out with Han Solo, but he's very intelligent despite the fact that he cannot speak, and is definitely one of the most lovable characters from the series. And that brings us to R2-D2 and C-3PO. These 2 robot buddies are practically the mascots of the film. In fact, most of the story actually follows their exploits as they meet our main heroes. R2-D2 is adventurous and fun-loving, whereas C-3PO is uptight and by the books. Basically, they're the space versions of SpongeBob and Squidward. The film has plenty of heroes, but it also has plenty of villains. The Empire is comprised of thousands of stormtroopers, who at first look really clunky and ridiculous, but their armor has become one of the most iconic images from the Star Wars franchise. We also have Grand Moff Tarkin, who is played by Peter Cushing, who does an absolutely amazing job of bringing some menace to this character, despite the fact that he's just a regular human. But without a doubt, the most memorable villain from the film is Darth Vader. Voiced by James Earl Jones, his presence alone is terrifying. Half man, half machine, Darth Vader is the most commanding presence in the entire film. With the powers of the dark side, he can choke you without even touching you. He's well versed in the ways of the lightsaber and even has an epic rematch with his former Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. As if that weren't enough, he's also an incredibly ruthless pilot. And that's just the main characters. There are hundreds, nay, thousands of characters who appear in the backgrounds of these films, who all have a name and all have their very own backstory. In particular, the classic Mos Eisley Cantina scene is filled to the brim with aliens and creatures who are all incredibly diverse and make the Star Wars world feel more alive. Simply put, every single character in this film is amazing, even the ones that don't even have dialogue. So honestly, what can I say about Star Wars which hasn't already been said before? It's one of the most revolutionary movies ever made. It also launched one of the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time. The genius of Star Wars is that it has a story that nearly every single culture on the planet can appreciate. It was also a marvel of filmmaking with its epic space battles, its alien worlds, and its unprecedented effect on pop culture. Choosing a favorite scene from this movie is really tough for me because honestly, I think the movie is perfect. Now, it's not without its flaws. It's certainly got some clunky dialogue. But I was going into Tashi Station to get some power converters! And there also happens to be some pretty glaring movie mistakes, like when that one stormtrooper bangs his head on a door. But at the end of the day, the story of Star Wars is just as relevant now as it was back in 1977. I think James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, said it best about Star Wars. It takes classic science fiction, Western culture, Japanese culture, biblical references, and retells them all at the same time. It's every epic story ever told rolled into one. And this is coming from a guy who takes shits on Bugs Bunny's face for a living. But he's right. This is the reason why Star Wars is so loved by so many people, and I just happen to be one of those fans. Star Wars Episode 4 New Hope is not just a good Star Wars movie. It's a great movie, period. So there it is, my friends, my review of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Are you a fan of the original classic Star Wars film? Do you have a favorite scene or character or moment from that movie you would like to tell me about? Please tell me in the comment section below, and make sure to also tell me what you want to see from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.